Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I invite you to step into the shadows of a story that begins in the most ordinary of places, but ends somewhere far darker than you could ever imagine. This is the story of the Whispering Visitor. On a late autumn night, a woman named Clara Evans locked up the small bookstore where she worked. The streets were nearly empty, the lamps glowing weakly through a mist that had rolled in from the nearby river. Clara had stayed late to finish inventory, and now she regretted it. The town always seemed different after midnight, quieter, heavier, as though it were holding its breath. She began the walk home, her heels tapping against the cracked pavement. Usually she took the bus, but tonight it had stopped running hours ago. So she cut through a narrow side street, hoping to reach her apartment sooner. That's when she noticed she was not alone. A figure stood at the far end of the street, still as though waiting. Clara slowed. The stranger wore a long grey coat and a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed their face. They didn't move, not even when she glanced directly at them. Uneasy, Clara crossed to the other side of the road. She told herself it was nothing, just someone walking home like her. But when she turned the corner, she heard it. The sound of footsteps behind her, slow, deliberate, matching her own. She stopped. The footsteps stopped. Her heart began to pound. Without looking back, she quickened her pace. The footsteps followed. As she reached the main road, Clara passed under a street lamp. For a moment she felt relief, light, safety. But then she saw the reflection in the shop window beside her. The stranger was closer now. The hat still shadowed their face. But she saw something that froze her blood. Their mouth. It was stretched into an unnatural grin. Lips curling too high, too wide, teeth too many. Clara spun around, yet the figure was gone. The street was empty. She stood frozen, staring into the dark silence. And then, a whisper. It came from directly behind her ear. Soft, hissing, words she couldn't understand. Clara screamed and stumbled forward, running as fast as her legs could carry her. She didn't stop until she reached the door of her apartment building. Shaking, she fumbled with her keys and locked herself inside. For hours, Clara sat awake, convinced that if she closed her eyes, she would hear that whisper again. At last exhaustion won and she drifted into uneasy sleep. At 3:17 a.m., she woke to the sound of footsteps inside her apartment. She froze in her bed, her breath shallow. Slowly her eyes adjusted to the darkness. There, in the corner of her bedroom, stood the figure. Hat, coat, grin. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It only whispered, softly, endlessly, until the sound filled her skull like a swarm of insects. Clara wanted to scream, but her voice wouldn't come. The last thing she remembered before losing consciousness was the figure leaning closer, its mouth stretching impossibly wide. Clara's neighbors found her the next morning. She was alive, but she hadn't spoken a word since. She just sat by her window, smiling at nothing, her lips pulled too far back, her teeth bared in a grotesque grin. And sometimes, late at night, if you pass by her building, you can hear her voice through the glass, whispering to someone who isn't there, or perhaps whispering to you. Thank you for listening. Remember, when you walk home late at night and you hear footsteps behind you, don't look back, because if you see the smile, it may already be too late.